it's all going to end.
Israel's going to nuke everybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not far off. You know, right now the big question is Iran. Basically, from October 7th, this has been the master plan, is to bring the United States into a war with Iran. It's what they've wanted to do for 20 years.
Right.
And 40 years ago, you had Libya, you had Iraq, you had Egypt, you had Syria. These are all powerful countries. You had Sudan. One by one, they've all been destroyed. Iran and Israel, these are the last ones standing. Israel cannot attack Iran. They're not powerful enough. They need us to do it. We don't want to fight Iran. We have no beef with them. So Israel's trying to manufacture a situation where we're both forced to fight each other.
All right, Shalom. Giving all glory, honor, and praise to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem, Chakwadash, double honor to apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect, 144,000, pushing the truth in all sincerity in the four quarters of the earth. Lord willing, we have the number. I'm your brother Tobiah Yekonah, coming at you with another video. Lord willing, it's edifying. Getting into these Hodge twins, you know, sitting down with this Edomite, or what appears to be an Edomite, and they got their mouths shut and their ears open. And not to get into the subject matter of what they're talking about specifically, Lord willing, I'll do another lesson on that. But, you know, just the fact that, you know, they're giving ear to this Edomite intently about what we have already been saying all through the Spirit on the highways and hedges for a very long time, you know, starting with our elder apostles, elder bishops and bishops on down, man, you know, out here preaching this word in the chief place of concourse. You know, and albeit, you know, we're fishing for the elect. We're not concerned with everybody. So, you know, obviously these two guys, they're going down the path of not being the elect. Of course, we don't know ultimately who will be the elect. That's up to the Heavenly Father. But as the scriptures say, man, you could tell them by their fruit, and their fruit is in folly and really just loving the oppressor, man, envying the oppressor. Matter of fact, let's grab that. Proverb 3:31. All right, this is the book of Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 31. It reads, envy thou not the oppressor, and choose not of his ways. And the oppressor today is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. We know that based off the receipts. You know, we understand that he's a murderer, a raper, a robber. Okay. And there's plenty of receipts to back that up. Plenty. You can see that through his military action, going all the way back to Cristobal Colon. You know, you can see that in the slave trade. Matter of fact, let's go to that. Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, the 48th verse. You know, just placing this so-called white man in his, placing the spotlight of shame on this so-called white man. This is what we're supposed to do. Uncover, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, man. This is what the scriptures say we are to do. We are to feed the flock with the truth. And this is the truth, man. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 48, therefore shalt thou serve, who is thou, Jacob, you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and those that go through that seed line, says thou serve thine enemies, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he have destroyed thee. Right? So we would have to go to our enemies and ultimately, as the book of Revelation say, be nourished by this enemy of ours, so-called white men, in slavery, chattel slavery. Chattel goes to cattle, so we're treated like cattle. Talking about the God's chosen people. All right, and they're going to pay for that. All right, and we'll get to that scripture, Lord willing, soon. It says, shall sin against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. So we got to go to our oppressor for everything. We're not sovereign. We don't. Just because a nigga could dribble a ball and make millions of dollars doesn't mean he can go purchase his own island or, make certain moves. He's on a leash, just like the rest of us. All right. It says, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck. Yeah. So we once had a physical iron yoke around our neck in chattel slavery, used to keep us from running away. And that was the spirit that brought it out. Just because you got millions or maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars doesn't mean you still don't have that yoke of iron. Today's modern yoke are these adhesion contracts that people sign, starting with your birth certificate. All right, it binds you to the government. All right, Social Security number, things of that nature. It says until he have destroyed thee. Right, till he has he's gotten all power over thee. Over you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, all right? And so now, these Hodge twins, they're sitting down with this Edomite, and they're, I've put them in the category of having Stockholm Syndrome. Let's get the definition for that. Being a slave, coming from that background, Jake has Stockholm Syndrome, all right? Stockholm Syndrome definition, according to Cleveland Clinic, Stockholm Syndrome is a coping mechanism to a captive or abusive situation. People develop positive feelings toward their captors or abusers over time. This condition applies to situations including child abuse, coach-athlete abuse, relationship abuse, and sex trafficking. Treatment includes psychotherapy, talk therapy, and medications if needed. Right. So it speaks of Stockholm Syndrome, a coping mechanism to a captive or abusive relationship. Right. When you go to Isaiah 14:2, it reads, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And this is talking about the kingdom. And when roles are reversed, when we are no longer the tail and we have become the head, as the scriptures speak of, we are now the tail, and our oppressors, starting with Esau, Edom, so-called white man, is the head. It says, and the house of Israel shall possess them. Who's them? The heathen, starting first and foremost with that devil, Esau, Edom, so-called white man, possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. Yeah, they're going to be slaves. And they shall take them captives. Yeah, they're going to be captives. They're going to be our captives. All right. Whose captives they were. Right. That's a role reversal. You see the movie Trading Places with Eddie Murphy. The roles flip. All right. In the kingdom. And they shall rule over their oppressors. Right. So that's what's going to happen. Our oppressors, those that took us captive, we're going to take them captive. All right. That explains that we are in captivity. We are captives right now. The roles will reverse where, our captives are going to be, our captors are going to be, our slaves. But just to make the point that, these people like, these Hodge twins, they develop a coping mechanism Yeah, they develop a coping mechanism to deal with these this position that they're in. So the so-called white man sit down and they shut the fuck up. All right. And many of our people take that position, man. Many of our people take that Stockholm Syndrome position. Proverbs 3:31, envy thou not the oppressor and choose none of his ways. All right, you go into the word oppressor, it's Ayash. And when you read into it, it goes champion. Right, Esau Edom is the modern day Pharaoh. He's the champion. He's the man on top right now. It says good, great, mighty man. It says steward. Right. So when you go back into that Deuteronomy 28 and 48, talk about how, how we would go to this guy for want of all things. That's the position that he takes. He takes the position of a husband, a mighty man, a father, And so Jake is just basically a little boy. That's why they call us boy in slavery. You can see a lot of this in that new movie Sinners too, man. It's kind of crazy. They like rewind that time and put it back in our faces. We act like the movie's so great, but who's behind the movie, man? Amalek's making these movies, so you kind of got to put your mind on what are they trying to push here? What are they trying to, But anyways, Sirach 12:10, never trust thine enemy. Esau Edom is the enemy. That's a big thing that a lot of our people don't understand, man. They think that everybody's cool. Everybody's just human beings. That's another form of witchcraft, man, that this world pushes on the people, on the mass of people. We're human. I bleed blood just like you. The Lord created 18 nations, man. All right. And he chose one. And that's you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right. It says, for as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. So, he's going to wax more and more toward being wicked. And we're seeing that in these last days, man, with this guy, Trump. He's eventually, the boxing gloves are going to come off. And as it's written in Revelation 12:12, he knoweth that he hath but a short time, man, to push that NWO. So he's going to go all out and really force himself on the Lord's chosen people, man, and try to get the elect, but the elect is going to be saved out of it. All right. So, yeah, that's pretty much the point. Yeah, let's see if we can grab this real quick, and we'll be out. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 13 and 23. It says, when a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue, and look, what he saith, they extol it to the clouds. But if the poor man speak, they say, what fellow is this? And if he stumble, they will help to overthrow him. And that's exactly what we're witnessing here, man, with these Hodge twins, man. They sit there, and many of our people, man, they sit there and they listen to this so-called white man with all this intent. And but if a poor man speaks the same thing, which we've been doing for, decades, they wait for him to mess up, and then they'll say, look at you, you suck, Hey, but the Lord willing, I was edifying, giving all glory, honor, and praise to Yahweh, Shem Yahweh, Shalom.